It was less than a week ago that President Donald Trump gave the State of the Union address, reporting to Congress on where the nation stands and what challenges we face today. Another nation was heard from, or rather nations, as the president of the National Congress of American Indians delivered the annual State of the Indian Nations report. Micah Bledsoe in our Washington bureau was on hand for the address and got reaction from some Arizonans who were there.
NCAI President Jefferson Keel cited a number of problems in Indian country, everything from jobs to domestic violence. But he opened the 2019 State of Indian Nations address on an upbeat note.
I stand here today to proudly proclaim to you, Congress, the administration, and the world, the State of Indian Nations is strong.
Stronger than it was. But Keel says Native governments still face a number of issues, including a court challenge to the Indian Child Welfare Act, which gives priority to tribal members in foster care cases.
Our Native families have suffered the agony of having our children ripped from us for far too long.
And Keel says the pain of family separations is being felt by Indigenous people trying to enter the U.S.
An agony that sadly Indigenous migrant families along our southern border now share with us.
Many of the issues he cited came back to the question of tribal sovereignty, the ability of tribes to rule themselves. Ms. Tohono O'odham Maria Kateri Pablo says she sees it firsthand with the cattle her family raises. If the cattle wanders across the U.S.-Mexico border, it becomes a hassle, even though the animals may still be on tribal lands.
Like sometimes the cattle will wander onto the other side, and it's a long process to try to get them back. And you know, cattle is very important to us. It's always been a part of our nation.
Former Arizona resident Indonis Spears, a Navajo, says she supports the message that sovereignty for Indian nations is above all.
That's at the forefront, I think, of all Indian communities' motivations for becoming political leaders, leaders in education, leaders in culture, leaders in food, our food warriors. All of those are tied together by this concept of sovereignty.
Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez says that, like other tribes, the Navajo are working toward creating more jobs for their people, including possible plans for a plant to produce latex gloves.
When you say sovereignty is the ability to take care of yourself, and that's the thing that's what we're focusing on. If we were to be able to make items on the Navajo Nation and label it as a Navajo product, we could take over production of, in this case, latex gloves.
Keel said tribes are tackling issues like water rights and climate change and called on the federal government to join on those efforts. He also said the recent government shutdown shows a government that is broken and racked by partisan politics. In Washington, Micah Bledsoe, Cronkite News.